Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I have a really exciting episode for you today as we are speaking with Ariel Thieken from I Do Design Studio. Ariel's work is beautiful, which you can see if you go to her website, idodesign.studio, or if you visit her on Instagram at I Do Design Studio. Both of these are going to be linked in the show notes so that you can check out Ariel's work and keep in touch with her. But what Ariel does is strategy driven web design for the wedding industry. And what she has become an expert at is showcasing how your website can work for you during economical challenges. Okay, so what you can do for your website when people aren't able to come in person, like what we experienced with the pandemic, how you can use your website to benefit you during a recession. That's something a lot of people are concerned about right now. And Ariel covers all of this not only in her regular content, but in our interview chatting together. So get ready, get a notebook and pen out. You're going to get a lot of value from her. And as I mentioned, if you're getting inspired while the show is going on, all of her links are going to be in the show notes. But for now, I just want you to listen. Ariel, thank you so much for being here. It is great to have you on. Ariel and I actually connected through Instagram initially because we have similar handle names, don't we?
Yep, we're the I Do crew, it looks like,
Yep.
right?
And I always prioritize when I see someone else with an I do in their name. And Ariel did the same. So it was just that camaraderie we had right from the start.
Right, yep. We're on the same page. We get it.
So even though it feels like I know you so well from Instagram, and I love the value you're giving to people on there, which is how we got involved in even doing this podcast episode, because I was like, people need to hear this. What I don't know is, how did you even get started? How did you come to specialize not only in offering web design, but specifically for wedding professionals?
Great question. So actually, I got my very first taste of the wedding business actually when I was just 18 years old. I was a wedding registry consultant at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Ooh.
Yes, I got to, help wedding couples make their dream wish list,
That is
gifts for
fun.
people to buy them. And then later on, I started actually working for a printing business, and that's where I just learned design and I just fell in love with it. And I eventually started my own design business in 2016. And I was just designing for every type of business though. Anybody that would come my way, I would design websites, business cards, brochures, etc. And then a lot of things started to change. I got married in 2019. I became a mom and my design business slowed down. Being a mom changes things. And then one thing after another, we moved to Raleigh for my husband's job. And I didn't know anybody here. I didn't know any clients here. I had no design clients. So eventually I had to come up with something. So I would say I had a aha moment, I guess you could refer
Mhm.
to it as.
Yeah, like Oprah always says, right? The aha
Yeah,
moment.
it came to me and I realized that I knew the wedding industry and I knew what they went through because I actually managed a wedding venue. So I could use the experience I had to help other wedding professionals create strategic websites that are going to work for them. And pretty much since then, since it's starting I Do Design Studio, I haven't stopped. I've just been solely designing for the wedding pros and I've loved every minute of it, but it's been a journey for sure.
It reminds me, I say this all the time, but I like to think of the wedding industry as the song Hotel California, where he says you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Like it always
Yes,
comes
it
back.
it does. It truly does. It's just like if, and I thought about that too. It just followed my life, between my sisters, I helped them with their weddings and their their invitations, and then went to the wedding industry, and then, did the wedding venue stuff. And it just kept following me. So I'm like, well, I might as well just stick with it.
Yeah, and there is a very special perspective you get once you manage a venue and once you're
Right.
working on the back end of a venue, because I really feel that's where you get to understand everybody's role in the process. So if you can't
Yes.
go into everybody's role, what you can do is go into the venue and you really get an appreciation of everybody. And I think that's why you had such a clear perspective when you were talking about, I saw a series of Instagram stories you did about how a website, how you can use your website to assist in recession proofing your business. Now, like, this is all over the news. It's like
Yes.
a pending doom, of like,
Right?
we
You're
don't know,
just
is it
waiting,
here, is it
right?
coming, are we in it?
What's happening? Yes. No, I mean, and yeah, so I kind of posted a few Instagram stories, and I had a post about it, but it's like, I don't want to scare people when I talk about this stuff, but I feel like it's really good for us, especially since we all dealt through COVID, to talk about these things and be
Yeah.
ready for it. People are always going to get married regardless of their economic status. They're going to maybe cut down their spending, or might have a backyard wedding, or things might slightly change, but they're still going to have weddings.
Mhm.
So I put a few actual tips that are easy to implement for any wedding pro to kind of help them through a recession, to kind of get them in that mindset of things like, "Maybe I should check this stuff out." One of the biggest things, obviously, is their website. We learned through COVID that
Yes, yes.
websites are a must. Without a website, it's going to be very hard to communicate to your audience. During COVID, I was the busiest I have ever been. It's because, especially in the wedding business, our ideal client, millennials,
Mhm.
they're on their phones, right? You
Yes.
can't get the phone out of their hand. It actually, studies say, like, they're on their phones like 211 minutes per day. So yeah, you might have a website, but you want to really deep dive into it and make sure that it is mobile friendly. It's going to communicate exactly your services, what you're going to do. Know where's the contact button. You want to have it organized and right to the point, so it's cut and dry. What you offer, what you do, how you do it, and what you want them to do, pretty much all in one. Um, the other thing is definitely, you want to work on that prompt communication, especially during COVID. Again, we learned the same thing, is you you are in a big competition with other vendors. It's a very high, big market, so you want to respond to your clients or potential clients very fast, or somebody else is going to beat you to the punch. It's kind of a race game. They want to feel nurtured. They want to feel like they're the only couple in the world to your business. You know what I mean? Whether you're a photographer or venue. So you want to be able to provide that. So I always love to, introduce my clients to a CRM tool such as Dubsado, Honeybook. There's 17 Hats. There's all these different CRM tools these days to really help start that communication and automate it through your website. So right from that contact form, they're already in the system and they're already getting a series of emails. So it's streamlined for you. You don't have to think about it like, oh, did I email that person back? Because I know from managing a wedding venue
Mhm.
that it's like all the brides tend to blend together after a while. We got 6 Haleys. Which Haley is this?
Right, right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's nice when things are automatically done for you so you can sleep at night. Um, and then the other big thing for your website is going to be, adding that FAQ section. There's been countless times where I go to a site and they don't even have one. And I'm like, what are you doing? All those stupid, silly questions that you have to answer again and
Yes,
again and
yes.
again. Put it on your site. It'll do the heavy lifting for you, because most of the time, you know, potential clients don't have time to wait for a response, especially those silly questions that aren't on auto reply. So have it automate, or have them listed on your site, and like, you know, work smarter, not harder kind of concept.
Yes, it will save you time. And it
Right.
also will weed out the people who aren't going to fit with your venue.
Right. Exactly. From the get go, though, oh, nope, that's not my capacity. I want
Mhm.
300 at my venue or whatever. Easy done, move on kind of thing. Because it's like, I ain't got time for that.
Yes, and I think some people come from the perspective almost of living in lack, where they're like,
Yeah,
well, I don't want to lose them, but let me tell you, you're not going to convince someone who wants 300 people to go to 150,
right.
or you're just not. So it's kind of just focus your time on, like you said, work smarter, not harder.
Right. Yeah. And focus on your ideal audience.
Hmm.
If your ideal audience is not 300 plus guests, then why waste your time and energy on them when you could have, be nurturing other people that are coming to you that are in your ideal audience that have that 150 or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that really helps cut out the crap.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean? The other thing too is I cannot express this enough is the importance of reviews and testimonials. Humans gain trust once they see evidence of it. So having the past experience of previous clients on your site of what they were struggling with, or how great it was, or their concerns that were they overcome, once they booked you, are going to be like the best seller for you. Like, it's kind of like when you go on Amazon and you see like three of the same
Yes.
type of thing, you're like reading the reviews. Oh, no, no, that one's got bad reviews. It's the
Hmm.
same thing. People want to see the reviews, they want to hear real experiences. So show it on your site. You know, Again, with the CRM, have it a part of your workflow. At the end of the wedding, or, like 3 days after the wedding, send a, thank you, congratulations, leave us a testimonial here, 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 wherever you want them to leave it. This way you can start building them on autopilot and you don't even have to think about it. The other big thing, which I think Nina can talk about, is social media, leveraging that social media like nobody's business. Again, our ideal clients, most of them are on social media. And it's like you're not going to waste time by being on social media, especially if you're marketing your wedding business, showing what your venue is like, showing what your photography business is like, or whatever. That's the best marketing. And I'm pretty sure Nina can go all about maneuvering social media. That's your forte, not mine.
Well, what I really want to say about it is that the social media marketing and the website go hand in hand, because I
Right.
view my job as a social media marketer to get people to the website,
Yep.
because then they're getting into your funnel, your flow, your sales process. So my job is to deliver them to you by getting them to your website. So if your website isn't updated, doesn't have a clear contact form or a lead sequence or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, it's going to hurt you on all your other efforts, because the
Right.
way digital shopping goes is that they're going to your website, and that all roads lead to there, whether it's
Yep.
even, the knot. So many people don't fill out the form on the knot. They're going from the
Mm-hmm.
knot to your website, or they're going
Right.
from Google to your website, Instagram to your website.
Right.
So the website is the hub of everything. So if you, even though social media, I'm a social media marketer, Instagram is free. I always say that you can't afford not to have one, but
Mm-hmm.
without the website, you're going to be missing just a
Yeah.
huge part. And like Ariel was saying about reviews, having a website, I think, also offers a comfort to clients, because they see you're legitimate.
Well, the other little tip too with the reviews is when it's on your website, I hate to say this, but you can filter through the reviews that
You
are
can
displayed
control
on your
it.
website. You can choose which ones are on that home page instead of, Google and, that Uncle Stu that was mad because there
Oh,
wasn't
I know. I
potpourri in
hate
the
it when it's
bathroom.
not the host. Okay.
Right.
It's like you're the grandma. You don't
Yeah.
know what they booked.
Right. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So you have a lot more control over your website than, Wedding Wire and the Knot, that, the reviews are automated and stuff like that. So it's like you definitely want to make sure that your website, like you said, is your hub. It's like they're all kind of connected in a way. They all kind of circle to each other because, then on your website, you have your social media feed and it clicks through. So people are going to check these things out before they book you. Obviously, they're going to do their investigative work. So just they're all linked. But
Yeah,
yeah, they all work hand in
Ariel,
hand.
I'm a Disney nerd, so you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that the website is the hub, which is where the castle is in the middle.
Yep.
And then all the other spokes of the wheel, Fantasyland, Adventureland, Tomorrowland, are your reviews, your Instagram, your
Yeah.
Pinterest, etc. And they're all leading to that hub, which is the website.
That is a great analogy, and I can't wait to see. I want to see a post about this.
Yes, yeah,
I want
right.
to see
I'm
a
gonna
post
have to
about it
do,
with the
yeah,
Disney castle in the
yeah.
middle. Yes, please. Oh gosh.
So that was a lot of information right there. I mean, is
Yes.
there any more about what else we can do on our website, in regards to kind of recession proofing our business?
Well, I mean, there's tons of stuff you can
Yeah.
obviously do to your site in reference to like functionality and stuff. So I mean, like as far as like making your site more functional, true, it's good to have, that contact form, like you said. It's good to have those really clear call to actions. So call to actions, I don't know, some people don't know what they are, but pretty much it's that button that's telling me what you want me to do.
Yes.
And it needs to be crystal clear. It shouldn't be like learn more. Okay, well, I can learn more, but it should be like book a tour.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to book a tour, or, get started today, or, that action that you want me to take, the main goal of the website. So really narrowing that down on your site is very helpful, even for anybody's website, even for like my website or your website, you know what
Mhm.
I mean? To have that one goal outlined and make sure that that is very prominent throughout the site.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always a really good tip that people tend to overlook. They just put
Mhm.
buttons wherever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to view it as you are guiding the audience to where you want them to go. And
That's exactly it.
like Ariel mentioned, with millennials being on their phone, you are competing with at least 30 different apps that are on their phone, all these different wedding professionals they're being sold to. So when they're on your website, don't take for granted that they're going to stick around and search for what they need to find. If they can't
You have
find it,
less than a minute.
yes. So the pressure is on.
Yep. You have less than a minute to woo them, put it that way, to grab their attention, to lead them through your whole sales funnel pretty much. So to keep them captivated, you want to definitely make sure you have those beautiful visuals, those dreamy pictures. Essentially, your site isn't about you. Or I mean, it's technically about you and your business, but essentially your site is about the viewers. You want to
Yes,
paint the picture for them of
yes.
what they could have. Like, hey, you could have this,
Right. What
make
your
it
venue
dreamy.
or your venue or your business means to them.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
So that's perfect for what I want to ask next, which is how can wedding pros speak to their target audience through a website? I know you mentioned, FAQs and reviews, but is there anything else specifically you would say here?
Well, especially like to speak to your ideal audience, you want to think like your ideal audience. So that goes hand in hand with your website copy. So when you're writing to these couples and stuff, you want to write as if you're talking to them, or, even, jot down some ideas of, if you were right in front of this person, showing them your venue, how you would communicate to them. That very first section on your website, they call it above the fold, dates back to, the newspapers when they were folded, that headline. That first thing on the website should tell me exactly what you do and how you do it. And then that call to action button should be right there. That's the very first thing that I should see when I go to any website. So I don't have to look. So I can go to a website and be like, oh, okay, so this is a wedding venue in Pennsylvania and they are, on Lake Erie or whatever.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I know exactly what they do, where they do it, and then there's a button to get started or continue on. So
Yes.
I don't have to guess. That's the biggest thing is you lose your potential clients when they have to guess or they get confused or they get lost. So communicating is very good. It's very good to be on point with that. And the key too is not to over communicate or put too much information on a site, because at the same time, people don't want to sit there all day and read your site. So you
Mhm.
have to sift through and put the main points, really guide them through a journey and, have that call to action, then have like your offerings, and then put it like maybe what they're looking for versus what they wish they had, or kind of like outline it in a way where it's going to keep them connected and engaged in the site, through
Yeah.
their website copy.
Now, I know for some businesses like venues, even limo companies, the person doing sales is different than the decision maker. So I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel it's important that the person, whoever is communicating with the web designer, should speak to sales, should walk through sales and understand what the clients are asking, what maybe objection points are. I know when I'm filtering reviews, like you mentioned earlier, I work around what they're trying to overcome. If they're trying to prove to people that they have the best food, you can believe that the reviews I'm going to pull mention the food.
Yes. Yep.
So talking with sales, I think, is a big, big thing to do before you come up with that copy. But what else do you think somebody needs to know about their business before they hire a web designer? Or another way to rephrase it is, what sort of information are you going to need from them in order to
Right.
create this?
Well, it's funny you say that too, because, many think that, a designer just makes things look pretty. Yeah. But no, really, my job as a designer is to help solve problems. Like for me, it's really important to know your ideal audience, to know your business objectives. And, all of this is going to help me create that website strategy. So we design something in mind that's going to target that audience and those business objectives that you have. Say you want to double your prices. Well, you know what? We need to have a website that's very luxurious. It's going to look like that double price tag, because this is like your online home, your office. We want to captivate those people and be like, yeah, this is worth 10 grand or whatever it is. So that's where, a part of my process, we really deep dive into the, ins of the business and the goals, the user's goals of how they're using the site. So that's all with my strategy mapping and everything. But yeah, so it's not like just a pretty website. We want to be pretty and functional, put it that way.
Yes, yes, absolutely. A lot of times, what sets me aside with my social media marketing business is the knowledge of the wedding business, because the way you promote a service with, let's say, a limited time period, because you're just trying to get people while they're engaged, it's a high price point, etc. You tackle it differently than I would if I was, posting social media about a product or a book.
Oh,
So for
yeah.
you in websites, how is functionality going to be different for someone in the wedding industry? And really, why is it important that they hire someone who understands their business for their website?
Well, first things first, the wedding business, is a service-based business. So it's definitely going to be different than any product type based business. We're not selling a buy now button kind of
Yes,
thing. We
yes.
don't have that.
Right,
You're
at a
selling the
$10 price
answers.
point, where
Right.
it's totally different.
It's definitely different. And not to mention, you got to think this is quote unquote the most important day of somebody's life, essentially.
Mhm.
So they're going to be picky. That's just how it's going to be. And, all businesses are definitely different when it comes, to the wedding industry, but they do have essentially one thing in common, is that they are all their services are based on a date,
Mhm.
that wedding date, right? So in that inquiry form for functional, purposes, I always love to put what is your ideal, event date, or, get that information
Yes.
from the couples right from the get-go, so if you're available that day or if you're not. Right from the get-go, you already have it, it sets yourself up. And also, like I said, too, the FAQ section, we kind of went over that already. Definitely get rid of all those silly questions that are popping in your inbox and just put them on your site. Honestly, update it all the time. Keep adding to it. The more you add, the less time you have to spend checking those emails and responding. This way you can just refer people to that FAQ page. And kind of like part two of your question, I think I might be biased because I do manage a wedding venue, and I do web design. So I think it's just, I really, for me, understand what is happening in the industry because I have worked those 14-hour days. I work weekends. I felt what it was like to navigate through the ever-changing CDC guidelines,
Oh,
and it's just, you have to kind of constantly be updating your couples, be communicating with these couples. So I think most designers don't understand how important it is for, the wedding business to be able to, update your couples
yes.
with this information, and even like for you to be able to manage your own site. Essentially, I know there are some website designers that keep you trapped, essentially, where it's like you
Mhm.
don't have
Yes.
control over your website.
Yeah.
And I, for my business, am a very firm believer in you should always have control over your website. It is yours. Same with like wedding wire and the knot. I feel like, you might not have as much control over what's going on with that. That's why, again, your site is so important and that you should have control over it so you can update it when needed. You should be able to change that line of text if
Mhm.
you need to be able to. And I am a very strong believer in that. And I go over that with all my clients. I give them one-on-one training so they can do that type of thing.
This is so important. I have horror stories about, because
Mhm.
sometimes, especially when the person making the decisions isn't involved with the day to day, so
Right.
they may not realize that every time a menu is changed,
Yeah.
your website has to change. Or if you have a new photo booth, a new limo, you're going to need new pictures. You're going to need to update your
Right.
website. And if you don't go to someone who understands that structure of your business, you're going to have to pay for every update you need done. And you really,
Right.
especially with, I mean, any sort of wedding business, you're either getting new portfolio work done, or for venues, they're changing constantly. There's a
Mm.
lot you need to update. And part of my horror story, when I first started out, I was working for a venue, a group of venues, and they hired just someone they found at a great price to do the websites. And he would not, I had to argue with him to put dates, to put the number of guests on the contact form. And then he didn't even have it where it would say which venue it was. We were a group of venues, and he wanted
Mm.
us to then just call them and find out, because his perspective for his business was, you just want contact forms filled out. But our perspective was, as wedding professionals, that we needed to know some preliminary information, because if it's under 50, we'll give it to the restaurant. If it's
Right.
over 150, we'll give it to the larger venue, etc. So I still get heated when I think about it, because I had to spend so much time explaining why the sales team needed this.
Right.
And then, to have to then pay a professional each time you want to make a change on your website, it would be as little as finding a typo in a menu, and you couldn't fix
Right.
it without charging this guy.
Right. And especially too, like the raising prices and everything,
Yes.
prices of meats have gone up. So you might need to change those prices
Mhm.
on your site. So it's
Yeah,
just,
absolutely. Because people
ever
will
changing.
notice and they will hold you to it. So now, like I mentioned, that the website is the hub. Every goal is to get people to the website. How do
Mhm.
you think wedding pros can get their community, whether it be from the people on social media or even the people they interact with in person, to go to their website?
So I would say one of the best things for a website, and a lot of people don't like doing this, but blogging is very useful. The way I like to think of it is kind of like a revolving door. So you could make one blog post, post it on your website. Then you could turn that blog post into a bunch of social media posts.
Mhm.
Boom. Okay. And then have those social media posts lead back to your site, be like, learn more, link in bio or something like that. And then you could even have those linked on Pinterest. Because guess what? A lot of people planning weddings are on Pinterest because guess what? That's where they're planning that dream wedding. So I think definitely it's, like I said, a revolving door kind of thing. They all kind of work hand in hand, but blogging is, I have found, has been very beneficial for, getting those keywords too. Google loves those, that SEO, search engine optimization. Every blog post you write gives you that much more SEO. So you got to think of that too.
That's fantastic. And a lot of people, SEO is something people know exists, but they may not all understand it. Can you get a little bit into SEO and how that ties in with your
Yeah.
process?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I love doing SEO just because it's pretty much how you communicate with Google. So it depends obviously where you're building your site and stuff, but most websites you can have a blog. So I know, there's Squarespace, Wix, Show It, there's all Weebly, there's all sorts of sites. So it's very easy nowadays to start a blog. Um, And, even if you just write a short blog post, they say it's best to have at least 300 words. But like for photographers, I've mentioned to them, post about your shoot that you shot at, Virginia Beach. Make sure you include
Mhm.
that location, Virginia Beach photo
Yes.
shoot, or, those location, those keywords in there, because
The
that's going to
five
one,
engagement photo spots in Virginia Beach.
exactly. exactly, 5 engagement spots, and you could post a bunch of engagement shoots that you've done or anything like that that's, pertains to your business, but also could have like the location. That's going to be great for your local SEO. And even just drive more traffic to your site, because when people Google search, engagement photographers, Virginia Beach, that might
Mhm.
just pop up over somebody else. But it does take some strategic thinking of these keywords. There's plenty of free resources to help you find these keywords. Actually, Google even has its Google Trends. You can go to googletrends.com. There's even Google Keyword Planner. There's tons of places where you can find these keywords and implement them into your blog posts. But that's one way to show Google that your site is active, that it's current. Google loves that, when your site is constantly being updated, even like once a month, one post. It's showing Google like,
Yeah.
hey, this site is it's working. It's not just dormant and not being updated in 5 years because you DIY'd it
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean? So yeah, updating it with blog posts is great. So that's
That's a
that's
great
one thing.
idea. Maybe we should try to create like a blog post challenge where you create 12 blog posts and then you're set for the year, and just do
Exactly.
one
And
a
that's
month.
all it would take.
Yeah.
That's all it would take to make 12. And you could, batch them even. You can usually
Yeah.
schedule your blog posts so you don't even need to think about it. Easy
Yeah.
peasy.
There's a venue that had sent me, they had pretty much just one post of what they were going to focus on for the rest of the year. So they had, it
Mhm.
was all kind of based on the seasons and things like that and what to do in that area during the summer,
Mhm.
and things like that. So you
And
definitely can plan that ahead.
yeah, and like you said, like what to do in the summer, there's your social media post right there, or you know what I mean? So you
Mhm.
have that content already building to go hand in hand, which is
Yeah, it's
great.
just it's going to make everything else easier.
Right.
So I'd like to ask you some rapid fire questions right now.
Okay.
So just whatever comes to mind. So first is my favorite thing about working with wedding pros is
Ooh, I would say probably learning their why, because I feel like it takes a certain type of person to get into the wedding business and deal with some bridezillas.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to want to be in this business, and I think like with my design process, we dive deep into that. So I feel like sometimes we uncover their deep why, even that they didn't realize. So it's interesting to kind of like uncover that, I think, and just understand why they're doing this. Because why do you want to work weekends?
Right, right, and be on your feet all day and,
Right, exactly.
be abused by a bridesmaid who doesn't know anything. I'm
Right,
talking from
exactly.
personal experience now. I haven't let it go, but the last movie I cried at was
Well, I do have a toddler, so recently I would say the last movie was probably Inside Out. I'm just
oh,
saying, there's some feels there.
yeah. I won't watch Coco because I hear that makes you cry.
Oh, that was another one. If it
Yeah,
wasn't Inside Out, I was going to say Coco,
yeah.
because towards the end, it's just
I'm
like,
avoiding Coco.
yeah, it's a great movie though. Just be prepared.
When I'm in flow, I'm listening to.
Well, I'm a big 80s music nerd.
Fantastic.
People don't know this about me, but I've been to 3 HCDC concerts,
Oh,
Chicago, Metallica. Yep, my daddy would be proud.
yes.
So yeah, I like to jam.
Nice, nice. I'll have to ask you more about some of your favorite 80s tracks later because that's
Yep.
my scene too. I'm so old that I even said that's my scene, so it just
That's my
proves
scene.
that. When it comes to your website, I wish more people realize that.
I think people realize, or I wish that they would realize that their off or their website is their home office, pretty much. Put it that way. It's like your online office, and it's the first place, the first point where you are able to woo or clients. You see the couples are going to your site, and it's the first thing that they're going to see. It's even if you, like you said, you're getting leads from Wedding Wire or the Knot. I guarantee you, before they book you, they're checking out your social media, they're checking out your website. So I like to definitely say, don't just like design a site and forget about it. Keep updating it, add those new photos periodically, even like put a calendar reminder on the first of every month, add
Yeah.
new photos, or get more testimonials. And if you really put the effort into your site, it can honestly be like the best employee you didn't know you had, where it can
Mhm.
be working for you 24/7 behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Let it work for you.
It, reminds me that the website really is the new first impression, and you
Hmm.
should give it as much attention as you would your lobby when someone comes in. You want
That's
it to be
exactly it.
presentable, clean, etc.
That's exactly it. And honestly, the website should reflect your style of business. I mean, if you're a very high-end wedding venue, very clean white line, type of
Mhm.
wedding venue, you want your website to reflect that. If you're a rustic barn, you want your website to
Yeah.
reflect that. Think of that theme of your venue or whatever type of business you are and have that site reflect that style. So then it's automatically warming your leads up and being like, oh wow, I like this style. This kind of
Mhm.
goes with what I'm envisioning. It's already working for you. So that's one of my biggest tips.
Great. The book that changed my life is.
Ooh, well, I just finished Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've
Oh,
ever read
yes,
that one.
that's a good one.
That's a good one. So just like habit forming. And I just finished Where the Crawdads Sing, which that ending was like, oh
I
my
have
goodness.
it. I have the book. I haven't read it yet. I know I want to because the movie's coming.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll
Oh, that ending.
prioritize that.
You'll be off your seat. I'll tell
Oh
you that.
my gosh. Okay.
Mhm.
My favorite vacation spot is.
Ooh, I would say Alaska actually.
Ooh.
That was actually one of my favorite trips. I mean, my husband and I, we love to go hiking in Colorado, but I still always refer back to my Alaska trip. And it's just, I think it's so breathtaking. It's like, it's surreal, put it that way. It's just,
What was the
wow.
most
And
fun
the
thing you
air,
did in Alaska?
well, I would say the very most fun thing we did was we took actually a helicopter that landed on a huge, like, I guess you'd say iceberg. And then there was actually a dog sledding camp. So we got to go
Oh.
dog sledding. So, I mean,
That's,
pretty cool, I
what? I
guess.
think that dog sledding should, how like llamas at weddings has become a thing? I think we need the dog sledding at weddings to become, oh, that was a name in its own, dog sledding at weddings. But that should be the
Yes,
next
there
trend.
you
And we
go.
have to go to Alaska or someplace, really cold. But I think that
Yeah,
should be a trend. It makes more
I'm
sense
all for
than
it.
the llamas to me.
Yeah, I mean, they could walk you down the aisle.
Oh
There you
my
go.
God. Yeah. Take the flower girl down. You got
Yeah.
options.
Yep.
How can people
Mhm.
listening work with you or get in touch with you?
Typically, the best way is to either go to my website, fill out my contact form. So I do designstudio.com, or you can actually go to Instagram and just DM me and go from there. But that's pretty much the best way.
Yeah, and I will have all of Ariel's links in the show notes. So wherever you're listening from, just click the episode and scroll, and you'll find all the links down there. The value she gave here is what you're going to find on her Instagram too. So you're definitely going to want to follow her.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Ariel.
Yes. No, it's been great. Thanks for having me. It's been fun chatting.
Yes, and I hope you
And
all hit her up on Instagram. Let her know you listened here.
yeah, and if you guys need any website tips, I'm happy to check them out.
How great was getting to know Ariel, guys. You are going to love her. So make sure to check out the show notes where you can get to her website, idodesign.studio, or to her Instagram, which is the same, idodesign.studio. And before we head out, I want to remind you that the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast is brought to you this week by the Weddingpreneurs Content Club. And what I love about the Weddingpreneurs Content Club, it is put together by someone I consider a friend in the industry, Carissa Cruzy. And what this offers you is something I can't. So this sends to your inbox every month 30 social media post templates, 30 captions, 15 story templates, 8 Instagram reels, templates and captions, I know I'm still going, 2 pre-written email newsletters, and 2 pre-written blog articles. So this is something for the person who cannot outsource services like mine. And you get this monthly. You can pay annually at $347, pay quarterly at $97 a quarter, or pay monthly at $37 a month. And this is to get your content sent to you. And then you have to go in and do it, okay? Because if I'm doing it for you, I can't charge prices like this, guys. So that's why I love what Carissa offers. And this is why I work with her, because she can offer you something I can't. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to idoweddingmarketing.com/sponsors and then click to visit the Weddingpreneurs Content Club. And I will, of course, have it linked in the show notes below. I'd like to give a big thank you to our guest, Ariel, this week. And if you got some value from this podcast, please consider leaving us a review. It means a lot and helps us to reach other people. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you next week.